This is a 120 pound 18mm f8 shift lens. In this video I'm going to be talking about why and how you would use a lens like this. This astrhori lens is a full frame mount lens, however the shift feature only works in APS-C mode. More about that later. Today I'm going to show you why and how you would use a lens like this to improve your time-lapse shots. When you are shooting buildings or architecture or interiors for real estate, you want to keep all of your lines, both horizontal and vertical, as straight as possible. If you're standing in front of a building with your wide lens, say a 16mm lens, and the top of the building doesn't fit in, you're going to tilt your camera upwards. However, your vertical lines of the building will collapse like this. They will become almost diagonal. You could solve this in post-production by distorting the image back to have straight lines, which you can see on screen. It's pretty easy to do that in Lightroom. However, I assume you know this, you are stretching out your pixels and you're losing resolution. The solution to that problem is to use a shift lens. The shift lens fixes this by moving the lens parallel to the image plane in front of your sensor. This allows you to bring more of what is in front of you but higher up down onto the image sensor without tilting the camera up and down, which results in your lines staying straight. A lens like this also allows you to turn it to its side so you can shoot vertical and shift up and down in that mode. More on that later. Now on screen are a few examples of shooting time lapses with this lens. This shot is without enabling the shift mode, where I tried to get the whole scene in the frame. You will notice some of these building lines are indeed warped because I had to tilt the camera upwards to fit the whole scene into my frame. This next shot is where I placed the camera level or straight ahead and I shifted the lens upwards. This brings more of my subject in frame while keeping the lines straight. Now, because of the fixed f8 aperture, I mounted a variable ND filter and I recorded these time lapses in S and Q mode, which is the subject of a future video. Make sure to be subscribed if you don't want to miss that. Quick little side plug here as well. If you want to learn more about how to create professional time lapses and hyperlapses, I've got 2 free ebooks that are linked down below, and I've got some great video courses as well that teach you how to master the art of time lapse and hyperlapse photography in no time. Now let's talk a bit about the cons of this lens. It is very cheap. Why is it so cheap? Well, for starters, it's a very basic lens. It is manual focus, it has a fixed f8 aperture, and the controls aren't as good as you would expect on a higher end lens. Canon makes probably the most famous shift lens, which is also a tilt shift lens, which allows you to rotate on a different axis the image plane in front of your sensor. That is how you get those really fun miniature shots, about which I've got a video up here. You can simulate that in post-production. But let's talk more about this lens. As I mentioned, it is a full frame mount lens, but if you're enabling the entire readout of your sensor and then you try to shift it, you get this insane vignetting. I wouldn't even call it vignetting because it's not just a little darkness on the edge of your image. It is a full-on lack of light falling on to the sensor because the shift feature only works in crop sensor mode. That's probably why this lens is so cheap. I had to switch my camera to crop mode or APS-C mode so that I don't see those dark edges. Going from full frame to crop mode turns this 18mm lens actually into a 28.8 or 29mm equivalent lens, which is still wide, but it's not super wide anymore. So again, not really that ideal. It does allow you to rotate it around in these clicked steps, which means you can shoot vertical with the shift feature as well, as you can see on this shot with this church here. What do you think about this lens? Is it worth it? Yes, you get a shift feature for only 120 quid on a crop mode full frame sensor mount camera with not the best controls, but you still get the shift features. But I don't really know how to feel about it. What are your thoughts? Have you shot on a shift or on a tilt shift lens before? Do you have any questions or comments or suggestions for what I should go and shoot with it? Drop it in the comments down below and make sure to check out my other videos. May the clouds forever be in your favor. Bye bye.